Welcome to the Football 360 show, the fastest hour of football talk on the planet. I am JP Rock. He is Matt Bierman. How you doing, Matt?
Doing well.
Coming at you live, streaming on X as well as YouTube. And, of course, you can catch the podcast version on Spotify as well as Apple. I think we got a little bit of stuff going on Facebook as well.
Yeah. I think Facebook will come and go. I think it's a little bit weird.
Hit or miss.
Yeah, a little hit or miss. Instagram is the one that we will post a lot of reels on. And
reels for days.
Yeah, more reels than you know what to do with.
On the gram. And, of course, you can catch everything Football 360 Show on football360show.com. Check it out. Old episodes, new stuff, just stuff that Matt finds interesting, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
People getting assaulted on the field and stuff.
Yeah, lots of we've had our fair share of crazy incidents on the football field that we highlighted, especially in the early shows. I guess that's what we got to look forward to every football season is a bunch of stuff happening in football games with referees and parents.
Right. And a lot of great interviews that we've done from the previous football season, guys that are relevant, still in the news now, guys committing, players, coaches who moved on. So a lot of cool stuff like that. Something interesting happened over the weekend.
Yeah,
football combine.
We had a couple hundred, 250 kids thereabouts show up to the Elite Football Combine and what used to be the Rams Park out in Earth City, and then the now currently called Lou Fuse Athletic. And we've had a bunch of events over the years, whether it be tryouts for teams or 7-on-7 events, or obviously the biggest one is
how many years in a row how many years in a row has it been at
I think at Lou Fuse with the Rams Park / Lou Fuse. I think we've been there at least, I'd say 13 years.
Yeah,
13 years.
The original. And now other people were coming in and using that facility as well.
We used to have really good exclusive use of that. We were like one of the only outside organizations they allowed to come in and do anything, because obviously it was a working training facility, and most NFL teams pretty much keep their facilities on lockdown, especially unless they're doing like a community event, something like that. But we've run adult combines in there. We've run, like basically the women's, education component for football 101
tryouts.
Yeah, tryouts. So, but yeah, when the Rams were here, we had really good access to all of that. And then obviously they left, and then the property got rented to somebody different. And now, fast forward to October this year. Stan Kroenke gets that building for $1, and so it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens with how that all unfolds, because he won it in arbitration. There's nothing they can do about it. The city's basically signed a bad lease. He signed a good lease, and we'll see what he's gonna do with it.
We'll see if tit for tat continues on. Or
I just don't see him making the decision that's going to be right for what we would want.
Correct.
I can see him making a decision, to claw back the money that he already lost, to the city and his moving out to LA. So it'll be really interesting to see. I know Lou Fuse is trying their best to keep it, but who knows? He's a billionaire. He's got a lot of money. He's got a lot of commercial properties across the country and industrial properties. So we'll see what he decides to do.
So a lot of great athletes showed up. A lot of guys showed up, and I'm talking about guys from Kansas, Illinois, Missouri, other places as well. Just the talent was just top notch, top flight that showed up. And I'm telling you what, huge shout out to the guys who are D1 players, who have D1 offers, who came and just proved their worth. And I got to tell you, I scout for a profession, and that really stands out. That elevates them as a player to show that they're not just collecting offers. Right. They're going to go ahead and continue to work, continue to prove their worth and their value, and do what it takes.
And compete.
It's a different mindset. Absolutely.
So you mean when you get your first Division I offer, or a couple of them, you mean it's not over?
It's not over.
Oh, you mean you don't have to keep working it? I mean, it is. It's mind-numbing.
It's not the end game.
It's mind-numbing, the number of people that, and you see it all the time. And I hate to say this, there are so many people that are chasing offers. And that's their primary goal for working out, right? And training. And that's what their mind is set on. And then they achieve it. And then they lay back. Absolutely. And it happens all the time. And so the problem with that mentality is you're going to get passed by, because there's someone else that's hungry there's somebody else that could care less about what your feelings are and how well you feel like you've made it. They don't feel like they've made it, and they're going to continue to work and jump right over the top of you. Well, it's going to happen.
And it's the guys who have the offers. And there was somebody who was committed to Northern Illinois, Charles Brooks. He's committed to Northern Illinois. You know, if somebody was like, I'm going to take it easy, no, he didn't do that. He had the mentality. He wants to keep getting better. He wants to compete. He wants to show that he is that guy. And that's what he did. And that's what other guys did. Guys like Brady Davidson, guys like Carter Burdell, Hoyt Gregory, you know, Charles Brooks, Tristan Abram, other D1 guys who, you know,
and soon to be D1 guys.
And soon to be.
And I think, you know, being afraid to compete, to me, is really the first sign that there's a crack in the facade, because so many kids are about it until they are really faced with like getting out of their comfort zone. And a lot of them are not really willing to get out of their comfort zone. And then they don't take advantage of extra training. They don't take advantage of, you know, going to an event like the Elite Football Combine. They'll show up at Lindenwood just to shake hands and try and, you know, and be, you know, be a social,
but they won't compete. Yeah.
They won't compete. And, you know, at some point coaches are looking at that stuff, and you might fool them, but you won't fool them when you're down there playing. So it is what it is.
Yeah. So great, you know, special shout out to those guys, because those guys really deserve.
And then a special shout out to all the young guys that were brand new to the process.
Competed hard. Oh yeah. Put everything into it. And, you know, and there were a lot of guys last year who came and became guys.
Yeah.
Right. And I tweeted about that. And so this next generation,
crop,
that's them right there. And somebody who was at the combine and absolutely killed it just happens to be with us. And I'll let you go ahead and do the introduction, since you know him so well.
This young man is someone we've known for a long time. And he's a lot of the things we're going to talk about today. He's going to provide firsthand knowledge, because he's been there, done that, still doing it to this day. And I get to watch him do it every day I'm at the facility. So Tony Adams, who is a former St. Louis University Junior Bill. He played at the University of Illinois and now is the starting safety for the New York Jets. So, Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Come on, man.
Yeah, it's a really good deal, man. To have you here, and we've been talking for weeks about, hey, I see you in the facility working out. He's grinding away in the off season, which a lot of people don't understand. Like, when you're in the NFL, your job is to work out and be ready to go for the next cycle, right? When you're, you know, you got your OTAs and you got your team driven activities, right? You have to be there for those things, but you have to show up, and there's no sidestepping anything. You got to be willing to compete. And something, before we get too deep into that, because it's going to go right in the same vein that we were talking about. You and I had a conversation at the end of last week, and we were talking about kids. I mean, it was identical to what JP just brought up. You didn't know we had this conversation, but we were talking about kids ducking and thinking they've made it, and thinking that like they don't understand what it really is to be in the position you are. And I can tell you, rolling it back in time, it's not an accident Tony Adams is in the NFL. Yes, he's a great athlete, but there's a lot of great athletes all over the world, right? Tony has continually stepped up and worked, and did not get in a situation where I ever saw him get complacent. Real quick, not to jump all over it, but what you and I were talking about, how, you know, like coming in and competing when you were at the facility when you were a kid, even after you had offers, right? What was your thought process?
Dog, like, I just wanted to be better. I knew that every Sunday I was coming to Elite Football Academy, and the best of the best in St. Louis was going to be there. And at first, when I used to come, I used to get embarrassed. You know, I used to get turned around, spent, locked up, choked out at the line of scrimmage. But like anything else, like, you keep getting better at it. You know what I'm saying? And eventually the tides turn. And I saw every Sunday I was getting better and better. I was going against the best of the best in St. Louis, where St. Louis already is a dog place. Like, it's super competitive. There's so much raw talent here. So many guys that feel like they underrated, underappreciated. And like, when you step into these environments, it don't do nothing but make you better. You know what I'm saying? And you learn how to compete. You learn how to battle, and you learn how to win ultimately. And I think that's driven me further than anything, just knowing how to compete, knowing how to not give up, you know what I'm saying? And don't let nobody take no food off your table. Ultimately, that's how I feel about it.
And I think you still have that mentality today, right? As an NFL player. But, going back in time, he comes in, he's a remarkable athlete, right? We're going to talk about your combine results when you were a kid,
I still
and then talk about your pro day.
Yeah, I still remember his elite combine results.
Yeah, very, very good. So, Tony, one of the things that, as we look back in time, you were a young guy. I mean, it's funny. I still picture you in my head. But we had the St. Louis Rams NFL 7v7 team. Okay, and this is going back in time.
Mhm.
Tony was a freshman, and there was at the time like maybe 1,200 plus kids that would try out to be on this team, and we selected 12 kids. And Kyle Eversgerd, a good friend of mine, was with the Rams. We ran the program together, and every NFL team had a team that represented their city, right, and their team that went to a national tournament. Really cool. They got shoes. They got a flight there. I mean, it was a really, really neat deal. And the NFL actually did away with it. Would love to see it come back because it would be just such a nice event for them to bring back. But Tony's he's a freshman. And so I remember standing on the table being like, hey, we got to take this guy. We got to take this guy. And we did. And he did not disappoint. We played in Indianapolis. I think Nick Sprague was our quarterback for your team.
Yeah.
Who works at Elite and trains, and so it's a cool environment. But going back in time, situations like that where you get to compete at a high level, what was your thought process when you made that team? And then were you nervous going into it? Was it one of those things that you kind of that's a long time ago, but it kind of set you on a page, be like, man, I'm going to go back to my team and I'm going to be a better player than I was last year.
Yeah, 1,000%. When I made the team, like I just came out there and I knew I was going to compete. It just felt like any other Sunday at Elite, I knew I was going to compete, and then I made the team. And like, it's crazy you hear about these guys, and some of these guys are playing in the NFL today, but honestly, God strike me down if I'm lying. I had no fear at all. Like when I went out there and I would play 7-on-7 with these guys who were juniors, seniors in high school. Like I had no fear because I've been competing all my life. I grew up competing. Like I grew up getting my butt kicked. I grew up winning some battles. You know what I'm saying? So it was the same thing playing out there. I was gonna give it everything I had. And compete and try to help the team win. So when I went up there and played against guys older than me, it wasn't no different. It was just like another Sunday at Elite. I'm competing against the best.
So at what point did you realize that, hey, I'm good enough to be a college prospect?
I'm not going.
What age? Because you've always been an unassuming, easygoing guy. You've never really, tooted your own horn. Some guys that were not as talented as you would toot their own horn. So right,
that happens a lot.
That happens a lot. So when did it click for you?
I'm not gonna lie. I always grew up like feeling like I wasn't good enough. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, like that could be a gift and a curse because you want to play with confidence. But in another sense, it always taught me like this insane work ethic, this insane hard work driven mindset. You know what I'm saying? So I carried that on, and I think it wasn't until like God honest truth, like I would compete, but until my senior year of high school, where I was like, okay, I'm the guy. St. Louis, my city. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like St. Louis, my city. Like I put in the work, and like I'm crazy athletic. Like this my city now. Like, you know what I'm saying? I earned that right by taking the beatings, taking the losses, going out there competing with guys every Sunday. And then I would see like those guys were off into college doing their thing.
Right.
And I was still in St. Louis. So, and I would see the next group of guys coming to Elite and like, they couldn't mess with me at all. So that's when I declared like St. Louis, this my year, like St. Louis, my city.
Right.
So
you were always humble. And so even when you were running like a 4.59 40 as a sophomore, 34-inch vertical, you didn't realize, hey, I'm this guy.
Yeah, no shot. I ain't know nothing about it. I just did it.
So I think that's a unique thing. And one of the things we were talking about the other day, and I think this is really a very poignant, salient point that we need to make to the young kids, because when you were growing up, social media was definitely going, but it
Mhm.
wasn't at the fever pitch that it is today.
Right.
So many kids in the conversation we had so many kids are just worried about failing, right? There's a difference between having no fear, meaning you're going to go in and give it your best shot, but also knowing that there's an opportunity that you can fail.
Yeah.
There's also an opportunity to succeed, but there's always an opportunity to learn and grow.
Mm-hmm.
But how many, one of the things we were talking about was kids are just scared to death to be caught in a situation where they don't look their best.
Won't step up, take reps at the combine
Correct.
or other events.
So yeah, what's your experience? I mean, because you've gone back, you've talked to young kids, right?
Yeah.
And you and I have you talked to a few boys that I've been around, and you're like, man, it's weird. Like it's not normal, some of the behaviors that we're seeing, and I think it's driven by the social media.
I agree 1,000%. Matt asked me to come to the combine last year. And so I went out there and I'm like, Matt, who the guys? Like, I want to see where the guys are. I'm not coming here just to watch everybody. I want to see where the dogs at. And Matt was like, well, he got this offer. He got these offers and he got these offers. And then I'm seeing them stand on the sideline. I'm like, bro, what's going on?
Yep. The
best supposed to be competing against the best. Like, that's how you earn that respect. It's not about no offers, because it was a lot of guys who had more offers than me in the city that I knew couldn't hold my jock strap. Like, you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
100%.
That don't matter. Like, you got to go out there compete each and every day, because those same guys who had more offers than me, when we went to college, I destroyed them for the simple fact, like, you resting on your morals. And like me, I got this insane work ethic that I'm gonna grind through everything. And in my head, I'm a dog. So like, when you go up against me, you don't got a shot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not resting on that. But I understand how social media is affecting everything. But like, it's tricky because like they grow up in like, it's a technology era. Everything is ran through social media.
Yeah.
But like, you got to get away from that. Knowing like the sport we play, the violence of it, the competitive mindset, and like, you going out there with people who try, like in my case now, you going out there with people who trying to feed their families, like in general, like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
It's a fight every play.
Blaine Gabbert once told me, he's like, we're sitting in my office. He looked at me, he's like, man, I wouldn't do it for less than, like, let's say $1 million or $2 million, whatever it was.
Yeah.
He said, because when you're out there, he's like, they are coming after you. He's like, it is a fierce battle. He's like,
it's a fight
for
survival.
They are flat ass coming after you and wanting to get after you. And he's like, it's one of those things that, you have to consider what your situation you're putting yourself into, right? So I think kids nowadays, though, have to understand that it is okay to fail. It is okay to be seen in a negative light, because you know what? We're all humans. We all have flaws. We all have bad reps.
Exactly. 1,000%.
And so like, you got to step up and have the ability to be critiqued. A lot of kids don't like to be coached right now because, being coached is a sign of weakness, as if they're supposed to know everything. I mean, come on. But TA is a guy that I can tell you never back down. If I had a, let's use Blaine Gabbert as an example, had him in town, he was wanting some young guys to throw to. He had like 3 or 4, pro guys that he's throwing to. We need more legs out there to throw. Tony Adams, Kyron Williams, both guys that I would trust, one, because they're athletic enough to do it. 2, that these guys were in high school when I was picking them up to do this. But a funny story, and I think I've told Tony this before, Blaine Gabbert's throwing the ball to there's an all-pro tight end out there.
If you've ever been there and seen Blaine throw the ball,
he rips it.
He rips it.
He's world-class arm talent.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got world-class arm talent. So we're at Parkway Central High School. It is probably 100 degrees. I mean, sweating. Everybody's got their shirts. I mean, it's hot. Tony's he's in high school. He's still probably a junior, going to rising senior. And Blaine says, well, hey, where's he go? And I said, well, he goes to SLU. And he looks at me, he's like kind of perplexed. He's like, what's he play? He's like, they don't have a football. They said, no, he's in high school, right? Well, it wasn't the physical side of your body that he was like, oh, that guy looks like he's a college guy. It was the speed. So he looks at me and he goes, hey, I can't track him. So then he throws another one. He's like, I'm having a tough time tracking him. So as a quarterback, your brain is constantly tracking the receiver, right? So it's judging the speed at which they're traveling, what space it has to navigate, defenders, and then puts the ball where it's supposed to go. Well, he could not. His brain was having a tough time because when you have an efficient runner, the body can't pick up a lot of the movement. So it looks like it's going really, at one speed, but it's actually traveling at another, right? And he's faster than what he looks like. So he's like, I don't know what to do with this. He's like, this is only the second guy I've ever encountered, the other of which was an NFL player. So then he said to me, and Blaine very rarely got involved in any recruiting things. He said, where's he going to go to school? I said, well, I think Mizzou or Illinois. He's like, I'm calling Mizzou. He's like, they need to get this guy at Mizzou. So obviously you ended up going to Illinois.
Yeah.
And I know that there was some decisions, and I hope you don't mind this. I remember this clear as day. I was at a meeting. I get a phone call, and he wanted to talk about his recruitment. He was like down to the wire. Like, this is like down to the wire. And he says to me, hey, he's going to go. I think he's going to go to Illinois. He's going to go that route. And we were just talking through it. And there was some people, and he didn't name names, at Mizzou at the time that he did not think would represent a great environment for him to be around. Okay? Simple as that. And that has stuck with me because very few times do young men make those decisions. That was a life-changing decision, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, I just don't feel as though it's going to be a good place to be around those guys because they were doing some things probably they shouldn't have been doing, right? No. And every team has that element.
Right.
You happen to know some of them and just kind of, it's the same. And there's more St. Louis guys probably at Mizzou at that time than at Illinois. But, kind of walk through that process of decision. I mean, my opinion, you're a guy that should have had 50 offers. Right. For whatever. And I don't know that. And this is, again, my commentary, but I never felt like they used you to your fullest. But what's crazy is there's 3 guys on that team. No, 4 that have gotten NFL playing time. Right. You got yourself, Michael Neese, who's with the Lions, Isom, who's now in the UFL, but was with the Rams for a while. And then there was someone else. Did Drew Clare ever get?
No.
Okay.
He went to the camp. He had a camp.
Just a camp event. So 3 guys, and then 1 guy touched it. So that's pretty damn impressive off of one team. But what did you feel like you're in high school? Did you feel like everything went your way? Did the stats always go your way? Did the wins and losses always go your way?
No. In high school, things didn't go my way. I used to compete so hard every day in high school. I felt like when the games came, I should have got the ball a lot more, which I didn't. And I got a friend who passed away, David Jackson, rest in peace his soul, who he was the best player on our team. Like, honestly, I wasn't the best player on our team. Like, I was maybe the 4th guy on our team behind David Jackson, Daniel Isom, and Drew Clare, who are all great players and way better than I was. But yeah, things didn't go my way. But the only thing that did go my way was I always competed and I always worked hard. I never got sidetracked from that. And I always was chasing something. So I think that led me on this path today, just always chasing something greater than what I could be at the moment. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy that those guys were way better than me, but I'm the one that got the opportunity that I did,
Well, I think you earned it, right? And I think that's the cool thing about football is, and it goes back to the theme of you have to be willing to put yourself out there. You can't control it. The only thing you can control is how you work, how you behave, all those things, right? And the unfortunate truth is a lot of guys have limiting behaviors, and the parents sometimes are involved in that component, okay? So another Tony Adams story. We drive all the way down to Bradenton, Florida. Me, Coach Oscar Zarowski, and I don't know, about 8 boys, right? It was wild. So it's a long drive. So funny story. We're in Gainesville, Florida. We're stopped. We made all the way to Gainesville, Florida. we drive maybe an hour or so. We stop at a gas station. TA looks at me and says, "Hey, coach, I think I left my wallet at the hotel." Now, Coach Oscar, who was in charge of getting everybody cleared out of the room.
Coach Oscar, that I know?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He did not clear the room, right?
Yeah.
You got a bunch of kids, like stuff gets left behind.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. So I think TA and myself, who was it? Jaleel, his buddy. So we just turned around. So we put everybody in the other car, squeezed them in, and we turn around and go back. And we called them. They said they had it. They took all his money, right? They had the wallet. They took his money. I said, oh, come on.
Right.
So anyway, we go down and we play. It's hot and really hot. Bradenton, Florida. There's no air moving. Like you think you're by the ocean. You're not. I mean, the oceans we could be in Missouri for all you know, right? And we're playing Cam Newton's team. Okay. And he's loud, right? We saw the stuff that happened last week. He's loud. Like at 7-on-7 events, there's no way around it. Like he is talking to the kids, talking to the refs, and he is just talking, right? Talking to his team. So Tony dings up his knee, and the trainer made him stay out, right? So it was like, it was one of those things where it was like more of like a hit his knee into the turf type of scenario. So we have a huge thunderstorm delay, lightning delay, right? So then next thing you know, we're walking up, and he walks over and he goes, "Hey, I'm ready to play." I said, "You sure you're good?" He said, "Yeah, I'm ready to play." So we go out, we play a team, and they did some kind of hit, which I'd never seen a 7-on-7, a hidden ball trick. Like they act like they had the wrong ball. They throw it. I pulled our guys together. I was like, "Hey, blank that. We're going to go after these guys." Okay. So then we're going home that evening before we're going to play again the next day. And we're driving. His buddy Jaleel is laughing. They're talking in the back. And he says to me, he says, I said, "What are you laughing about?" He's like, "Do you know who that guy was?" And I don't even remember who the kid was. It was some kid that was a 5-star commit to Florida State. And Tony had absolutely abused this kid. I mean, he could not guard him, and Tony could guard him just fine. And the kid, I mean, we just beat him up, put him pretty good. They're from Florida somewhere. And but that's the kind of competitor, right? And so then later found out, I said, "What happened? How did you get, how did you miraculously, heal?" Right. And he looked at me. So I called my mom, and she told me, "Matt didn't drive you all the way down there for you to be hurt." He's like, she said, "You get your butt back out there and you start playing and compete." And he did. Right. And I think having that support and having somebody drive you, internally from the house to say, "Hey, look, if you're hurt or injured, if you're injured, great. Okay. But if you're hurt, get your butt out there and compete." And I think that always stood out to me. It's one of my favorite stories, because whatever she said to you, flat ass work, because you got out there and just destroyed.
1,000%. Yeah, where my say go, they say like some of the greatest leaders in history, some of the greatest conquerors, like they feared their mother. And you know what I'm saying?
Smart.
Yeah, I say it's the same here. I just see my mom work so hard growing up, you know what I'm saying? Working overtime, getting called out in the middle of the night, being a social worker. And she always raised me to be tough, never gave me anything in life, you know what I mean? And like when my say go, my never babied me, never sugarcoated nothing. And she said I needed to compete. I was being soft. I guess I was being soft.
It worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we picked, she picked them up. We met over in Illinois. We were driving back, and I said, "Hey, whatever you said worked," because he went out there and absolutely destroyed. So every time, whether it was at the Rams 7v7, when we did Midwest Boom, you were at the Elite Football Combine, you're just training an elite or just out running routes with guys. That's what stands out to me, is that the kids don't understand. It is a constant. It is a constant. So now you're in college, you make your decision, you go University of Illinois. What made you make that decision? How was recruiting? Like, what was the process? And then, what was your decision? Like, what was your feeling once you got there?
It was a lot actually going on. So my senior year, like I said, I felt like St. Louis was my city, and I started taking off. Like I think in like 4 games, I had like 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Like, dog, like the season was about to be crazy. It was going to be one of those, but I ended up tearing my ACL my senior year, and like every school that was talking to me kind of fell off of me. Iowa, some other schools, I don't remember the rest, but like they kind of fell off. And I had Illinois and Mizzou, and I thought Illinois was going to take my offer. You know what I'm saying? Because I was committed to them. I thought they was going to pull the offer, but they end up didn't. So it still came between Illinois and Mizzou. I was working at a library, and like Mizzou would come up there sometime. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get me to come there because they say I'm an SEC kid. But I decided to go Illinois because I kind of wanted to write my own story. I kind of knew some people at Mizzou. All my friends from St. Louis was going to Mizzou. And like my mom always raised me to be a leader, not a follower. So you know what I'm saying? Nobody I knew was going to Illinois. So I said, I'm going to go up here and write my own story. Coach Lovie Smith, legendary lead coach, you know what I mean? Come from the Tampa 2 system. Crazy thing about it, he told me I'm a DB. I'm not a wide receiver, you know. But
funny thing is, Corey Patterson told me when you came up as a freshman, I don't know if we ever talked about this. He said, man, he could start both ways for us. He told me that when you were a freshman.
Wow.
Yeah. Man, we had that conversation. So
yeah, so I end up going to Illinois, and life got hard, you know. Went through a lot of dark times. Just being up in college, being in St. Louis, you know, it's a lot of things that go on around here that crime is prevalent in every city, but it's probably more crime around here than most, you know. So having people dying at home, having friends dying, cousins, you know what I'm saying, family members dying of illnesses and things like that. While I'm up at Illinois, I started as a true freshman coming off of ACL. A true freshman hasn't started at DB since Avante Davis. I think that was in like 2008, 2012, something like that. So I thought things were going to go well. Tore my labrum, out for the season, you know, coming off of ACL. So I'm not playing ball. Then I got all these deaths happening at home. So things kind of went downhill, but it was all for the greater good. It was all for the greater good.
So coaching changes. How do you navigate coaching changes? Because you know that happens in college, right? And most kids don't calculate that in. And it's hard to calculate in, but it does happen.
Yeah.
So what were your coaching changes? Because you definitely had it.
Yeah, definitely. I think I went through like maybe 6 or 7 DB coaches while I was at Illinois. Because yeah, it was a lot. You know, guys are in and out. Guys are doing what's best for their family and their careers. So guys are in and out. So you have to navigate that. But thank God I only had one head coaching change from Coach Smith to Coach Bielema. And I think the thing that helped me within that is to know Coach C was there. Corey Patterson was always going to be there. And he was a St. Louis guy. And I've been knowing Coach Patterson since him and Isaiah was throwing at elite. Isaiah Williams used to throw for me all the time. Like, you know, like when you compete, you get to pick a quarterback. Like, you know what I'm saying? And Isaiah was young then. And like if my high school quarterback, which was Mick Bachelet, wasn't throwing to me, I'm telling Isaiah, no, when I go, you throwing. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I've been knowing him since then. And Coach Patterson always looked out for me, always kept it real with me. Big shout out to him. So knowing he was staying there, kept that stability. I knew they couldn't really mess me over. You know what I mean? Because
that happens. That happens
a lot.
And just like you said, he wouldn't allow it. So that's why, you know, internally selling yourself to people on the staff and having a support system rather than being there and being a rogue all by yourself. You have to be like it's anything else in life. Like if you're in a major corporation, which a lot of college football teams really are now, they're multi-million-dollar enterprises. So if you have that scenario and you have to sell yourself, you have to have allies, right? So I was talking to a guy last night, really weird deal. You know, talking about decommitting. It was a bunch of things going on. And he said he was talking to the guy that recruited him, and he's a quarterback. And I said, well, what position is that guy coach? He goes, well, defensive line. I said, okay, well, he's not going to be in the meetings where they're talking about you. The guy's like, well, I got your back. Well, what meetings are the D-line coaches in? Yeah, coaches meetings, yes, but not a lot of positional stuff. Like the defenses with the defense, offense with the offense. So, you know, you got to know who your allies are, right? And so Corey, with being really connected to the St. Louis area and have a lot of guys he's recruited, would be a perfect ally. But he also knows who you are and what you're about.
Yeah.
You don't just get that by happenstance. You got to earn it, right? So build that relationship with those coaches for sure.
1,000%. And not to mean to cut you off, I got a cool story with Coach Patterson, which a lot of people don't know about. So it was to get the Illinois offer. He called me and said, Illinois gonna be here. Woo-woo. I told him, like, my mom was, I think she was gone, you know what I'm saying? Or I was at my dad's house down in East St. Louis or something. And I told him, like, dog, I only got $30. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can't afford a camp right now. Like, you know what I mean?
That's right. It was at Trinity, right?
At Trinity.
Yes.
And he was like, man, if you could get here, man, you ain't got to pay for nothing. You know what I mean? So I put that $30 in my tank to take me to Trinity. And that's how I got the Illinois offer. I went there, performed, ended up getting it. And, like, man, like, I already knew Coach Patterson before, but that story is like, I rock with him heavy. Like,
oh yeah,
if he called anything, it don't matter. Great guy.
And what's interesting is what goes on behind the scenes is there's conversations between guys that know each other, and you say, hey, look, there's a guy named Tony Adams. Like, he knows, right? And then you just start, like, you have to, I remember, like, talking to him about that scenario and the camp going to be there and all that. I mean, it's really exciting. But guys like JP and myself have conversations with people, but you don't have those about people that you don't believe in and don't see something special in.
Mm.
But you also you can't do it for everybody, because there's only so many guys that show the skill level, but more importantly, I'm telling you, and you hit on it, the guys that show up, that continually show up. I walked out last night of the facility. Okay. It's like 10:30, 10 o'clock. And a kid, I was cleaning up. The young man, which I thought was really interesting, he looked at me, he goes, who I've seen in our facility a lot of times. He looked at me, he goes, hey, when was the last time you were not here? When did you miss?
Mm.
Right. And so I said, well, I don't know. I think I got sick one time with COVID before COVID got there, and I got sick and I hadn't missed. Right. That was the last time. Right. And all the years, I mean, it's very few days. Right. And he looked at me and he said, oh, that's impressive. I said, no, consistency. If you want to win in anything, it's all about consistency.
Man.
I don't care if that has anything to do with running a business, being an athlete. Like, consistency rules the day. And if you're consistent with whatever you're doing, you're going to be really good. Now, if you're consistent with bad habits, you're going to have bad habits, right? I mean, and hey, all of us fall victim to that. We all have our own vices, issues. But when it comes to the overarching theme of being an athlete, your mindset clearly was, I mean, TA came every Sunday, every Wednesday night. Now, we had a defensive back coach at that time, Brian Baldwin, who's now at Lindenwood. What was your experience with him? I mean, he in my opinion, he's the best defensive back coach I've witnessed, live in the flesh. I mean, he had dude after dude after dude coming out.
Man, it's truly amazing to see, like, the amount of DBs out of St. Louis he produced. But the crazy part about it is how being Coach B got close is I was playing receiver. I was with Brett Fisher. Yeah. Fish, my guy, man. I don't know what Fish doing, but shout out to Fish.
Yeah, man. He's painting right now.
Man, that's my guy, right? And Fish would coach me, and I would go over there and destroy Coach B DBs. And then when I start playing DB, he taught me, you know what I mean? He taught me the nuances of the game, how to backpedal, how to break, because I was behind. Like, I'm still raw, I guess you could say, playing the position. But Coach B, like, he's still one of the best DB coaches I didn't see.
Yeah, he's amazing. And that was interesting. When he was at Lindenwood at the beginning, they had him at running backs. I remember saying something. I was like, get him over to defensive backs, because there's guys, and this is something that people don't understand. You will be coached in college by people that do not know the position. Correct?
I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's more about relationships.
Yeah. And they're managers of the position group. So to expect that you're going to go to college and someone's just going to train you and teach you and mold you there's not time for that. Like, it just doesn't work. Like, they recruited you because you're a stellar athlete. Now figure it out, right? And I think that's the deal. So now you get hurt, you're cruising through, now you're going in the sophomore year. Like, what happens then?
Sophomore year, I come back, I'm playing corner, and I didn't watch a lot of film in the off season, so I'm kind of learning the position. And I'm killing camp, like murdering guys. Like it's not even close. I'm out there competing. And then next thing you know, a guy tried to catch a fade ball, and I punched it out at the last minute, and I punched it and went to the ground with it and ended up breaking my hand. So I missed the first 3 or 4 games of the season. And I came back playing with a big old club. And then
I remember that.
Yeah. And then after the Penn State game, they like, our safety's not playing well. Like, we want to move you to safety. So and that's where it started, where like I became like a chess piece at Illinois, like, and they moved me depending on how positions were playing. Like, I would go from safety to corner to safety. Sometimes mid-game, I go from corner to safety. Like, it was crazy. And I'm not gonna lie, I hated it at the moment. At the moment, I felt like and it goes back to that lack of confidence, you know what I'm saying, I had before. So then I started to believe, like, they don't think I'm good enough to play one position, so they'll move me around. In all reality,
it's the opposite.
It was the opposite.
100%.
Like, me looking back now, like, I was just so versatile. I was so God-givenly blessed mentally and physically that I was able to do it, you know what I'm saying? And like they say, sometimes you could become a jack of all trades, master of none. And that's kind of how I was coming into the NFL, a master of none, because I played so many different positions. So,
but that becomes attractive to NFL teams, just like a guy that plays guard and tackle, right? There's a lot of truth to that, because you're right. You can be, a guy that just is kind of a generalist that they don't see a lot of value in, or it's just like saying, yeah, he could play receiver too for us if we needed him to, right? So, you get through that. Let's say now we fast forward. You have coaching changes. Now it's time. You have Coach Bielema your last season, and then it's time to leave, right? Now you're going to the NFL. Pro day, okay? I've always known, JP's known, and we've watched you, and that's what kids. Okay, let's stop, hit pause for like this weekend. We had our combine. The number of kids, short of an air like coding in or written down, but like the 40-yard dash is pretty clear cut and dry, right? A laser 40 is a laser 40 across the country. It's the same system they use in the NFL that everybody pretty much runs when they run combines. So you're a testing guy. You're athletic as all get out. You get to do your pro day, right? And what was your mindset with that? Like, same thing. I'm going to crush this thing. You train 6-8 weeks to get to do it. You go down to Florida. Everybody goes down to Florida, Arizona. They work on it. It's kind of crazy because it's only the time you really ever use that stuff is for that combine, experience, if you will. So take us through that, and then what happened at your pro day?
Oh, all right, for sure. So honestly, coming out of college, I didn't even know if I was going to get a shot at the NFL. My season was it started off really bad, and I actually wanted to quit football because I had some stuff going on back home, and then I kind of wanted to just let it go. I didn't want to play it no more. But I had a good friend that talked to me. It was like, dog, you so versatile. You could do anything playing ball. You know what I'm saying? Keep going. Like, you know what I mean? So like, I kept going. My season ended kind of up here. I didn't know if I was going to get a shot to the NFL, but I had an agency that just took me, you know what I mean? They weren't really talking to me, but it was the only agency I had that offered to sign me. So I was like, I'm going to sign to them. So I went down to Florida, I trained, and I knew if only I could go through pro day, you know what I mean? I know I got this pro day, and I know if they see me after this pro day, they gonna talk to me, you know what I mean? I knew at the end of the day, I was super athletic, and if I could get the pro day and just show everything I got, I'm gonna get a shot at the league. Like, they gonna have to give me an opportunity, and that's exactly what happened. I went to pro day, and I crushed it, like killed it. Like, I think it was the second best cornerback scores in the country, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, your RAS score, which is relative athletic score, which is like where they combine all of them of all time. I forgot it was top 20-ish of all time corners ever tested across all pro days and combine.
Yeah.
So what was your results? What was your 40?
I ran. They had me down as 4.38.
Yeah.
At 4.38 for the 40. I jumped to 41.5. I brought like I don't want to make up numbers. I want to say 10-10.
Yeah, it was close to 11 foot.
Yeah. The 5.10.5, I did like 4.0 something, and then I forget the Ellicott. The Ellicott was
okay. So real quick, hit pause. Kids, you're not going to run the same scores that you ran in high school. You're going to run in college, right? They're going to be there is a pattern developing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were fast back in high school, but what people don't understand is, and I know it's hard when you're in the middle of it as a kid and a parent when you haven't experienced this. But what he just said, if you think about what he just said, he ran a 4.3, let's call it whatever, 4.8, 4, whatever. His vertical leap and his broad jump match how fast he ran. Okay. If you're jumping 41 inches vertical leap and 10 plus, 10.5, 10.8, 11 foot, your 40 is going to be fast.
Yeah.
If you are not jumping, so like if you're running a 5.2 on the laser and your vertical leap is in the 20s, mid 20s, and your broad jump is under 9 foot, it matches, right? You need to start working on your explosiveness, your power. You need to work on a lot of things, single leg type activities, and become more athletic. Some guys don't have a lot of fast twitch muscle fiber. You were born with a lot. Your genetics, your mother and father gave you great genetics to be able to do it. But that's only part of the equation because you have to work on it, and you also have to be willing to have a mental mindset to allow yourself to go freely in those and not lock yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys obsess over the test and lock themselves out of the test, like just mentally. So they're done. So fast forward, now you have an unbelievable pro day. I remember seeing the results. I about fell out of my chair, but I knew it, right? I knew it. I knew you would have results like that. That was not shocking as far as like, I was just happy, relieved you did it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people get in their own way and you can, right? So now draft comes. What do you think?
I'm gonna skip a little bit before the draft. Before the draft, I'm back in St. Louis. I'm living in my friend's basement. You know what I'm saying? Just working out, just believing like I may get a shot at the league. And like at first, no teams are calling. I'm like, what's going on? I did everything I could. You know what I'm saying? Like I did everything I could. And if they go back and watch the film, I believe I'm the most versatile DB in this class, hands down. Like nobody could do what I could do. You know what I mean? But nobody was calling, and I'm in the basement. I'm praying, like I'm hoping, you know what I'm saying? Another dark time, you know, but I'm still working out, hoping for a chance at the league. And then the calls start happening, the meetings start happening. And now I think I'm gonna get drafted. They telling me, my agent telling me, 4th round, we gonna go day 3. Beginning of day 3, we're gonna go 4th round. We definitely getting drafted though. You know what I mean? And so now I'm believing I'm getting drafted. And like for now it's a dream come true. Now I invited all my family. Came from the east side, you know what I'm saying? We went up to SLU. We had a whole big old draft party. Then I don't hear my name called at all. I don't hear my name called. And that's it was devastating in a sense, because like it's so embarrassing that you got all your family at this one event, you know what I mean, to help celebrate. Like this is our accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just mine. This is about us and this big old struggle we went through growing up, and to have this one moment, and I didn't get that opportunity. So it kind of, I'm not gonna say it like this, but it kind of created a monster. Like, you know what I mean? It turned something up in my head, because I just know where I come from. I know what I've been through growing up. You know what I mean? I know what it meant to my family, and for my family not to have that moment, it made me dig deeper. It made me go back and look and go through them dark times. And I found strength in that. I found strength in that moment, and that draft day, and I found strength in my story. So, and I let that drive me into the NFL.
The tough thing too with the hearing that is a lot of times in my experience has been you get agents. I was once told by a guy a long time ago, he's like, look, and this guy was like Jim Steiner was the man. He was like one of the top agents. He was based out of St. Louis. He had all the guys. He got out of the business. He's now in the financial services business, I believe. But he had all these top 5, top 10 picks. And he said, we don't get anybody drafted. He's like, agents, if they tell you that, they're lying to you. And so a lot of guys play that, and then they misinterpret what people are telling them. And again, maybe someone did tell them they were going to go, in the 4th. Things change. It's such a weird deal. And you realize there's only really 1 or 2 decision makers with each team. And so whatever they decide and whatever way the wind blows, they go, right? And, it's very tough because you go through that, right? And I remember you would come back and you had been working in that time, like helping train. And I remember someone he was gotten one of our drills, the chaos drill, which we should call the Tony Adams drill. He owns it. But he jumped, and somebody not that long ago was like, hey, who was that coach that was in? And I said, oh, that was Tony. And he was talking about someone jumping over everybody and just going up and getting it. So, so you now don't hear your name called. It's devastating. But I remember being around, seeing this all kind of, being the observer and having conversations. Then it goes to, okay, what happens? So your name doesn't get called, and then usually within pretty quick, teams know who doesn't get the name called. So they already have you on the board. They're going to come for you. But now it's tough time because you got to make decisions, especially if you have multiple teams vying for you.
Exactly. And I had a lot of teams. I think I had I don't want to throw a number out there, but I had a whole bunch of teams. And I'm on the phone with my mentor because he played in the league for a long time. He played for 12, Gilbert, and he coached in the league for 20 some years. So he know the game. And now it's like college recruiting. All these, you getting all these calls, people trying to get you. And it came down between Minnesota, the New York Giants, the 49ers, and the Jets. And so my agents then wanted me to go to Minnesota because they offering the most money. They offering the most money. But while all this is happening, my mentor is doing the research on the defensive coordinator, the philosophy, what he liked to run, and how I would fit in that. And so I canceled out them. The Giants, the Giants, some people wanted me to go to the Giants, but I didn't think that defense at the time was best for me. I didn't know if I fit in.
But you were being told pretty forcefully, you need to go to there.
Yeah. And I always been kind of like a rebel. So, so that played a part in it.
Yeah.
And then we had so it came between San Francisco and the Jets. And before the 5th round, I got a call from the Jets, and it was actually the safety coach. And he called me before day 3 started. He called me and told me, this is every safety we got on the roster. These are all the safeties. If you think you could beat them, come here. It was 8 names, right?
8 names that are professionals.
Yeah, professional. He let me know who they were. These are vets. This is who we have. So I had that, and then San Francisco. Both of them ran the same defenses. They played a lot of zone, eyes on the quarterback, and that's what I'm used to. I come from Lovie Smith. I'm a Tampa 2 baby. I could drop the Tampa 2, and I could name every position the defensive backfield with my eyes closed. So I knew that. But the reason I went to the Jets and not San Francisco, because San Francisco the year before drafted Tufonga in the 3rd round, and as we all see, he's a pretty good football player. You know what I mean? And I always knew, if they drafted somebody, they really think he's the guy, you know what I'm saying? And his leash will always be longer than mine. He's always going to get the favor over me.
That's the way it goes.
What. Yeah. And he's a great player. So I understand 1,000%. So I said, let's rock with it. I'm going to go with the Jets. I'm choosing faith over fear. And that was different between that year and my senior year. See, my senior year, I had the option to leave Illinois, and I was about to leave Illinois, but out of fear, of the unknown, I end up staying at Illinois. I said this time I'm gonna take a leap of faith. You know what I mean? And I came out and I told all my people, so we going to New York, like. And I told the Jets when I got there, they asked me what's my goal. I told them I'm coming there to take somebody's job, like straight up, like my family was embarrassed. So I'm coming to take food out of somebody else's mouth. And I believe that 1,000%.
I remember having a conversation with you. You were with Dr. Katakis in his office, talking through all of it. And the toughest thing sometimes is we go back to, yeah, it was embarrassing. But you could have taken that and run and hid, or turned against it and used it for your favor. And I think that's going back to what we're talking to these kids about. Like, if you're listening to your story, like you've talked about dark times, you've talked about things not going your way, injuries, deaths, things happening, life happens to all of us. How are you going to react to it? Are you going to be the guy that cowers? But I think a lot of that goes back to A, how you're raised, B, what your work ethic is like and what you're consistently doing with your time. Is it constructive or is it destructive? And so you're a great example. That's why I was so excited to get you on here, because your story and what you're talking about, everybody sees the NFL player. They have no idea. They have no idea all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And you're right. When guys are anointed, and not to say that those guys didn't struggle, but once somebody anoints you and they pay you at those high levels, your leash is real long. And that happens in college too. And it's going to happen more and more with NIL. So you go into training camp, 8 guys, odds are stacked against you.
Yeah, 1,000%. Odds are stacked against me. But I just knew I had that picture in the back of my head, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that they just did something to me. Like it just did something to me. And it make me emotional thinking about it now, because like that was really the driving force of who I became, you know what I mean? And it all started from those dark days that I had to live, and I had to figure out with just me and God, you know what I mean? And like, so when I went there, I was just on a mission. I would stay up to, like, say we have to be at the facility at like 7. Like at first I wasn't hanging out. I wasn't doing none of that. I was probably up in my playbook till like 4 a.m. sometimes. Like I was studying, like I was going to get this. And like me and my mentor, we would talk every night. He'll make me go through the defenses. He helped me break it down and piece it together where I could understand it quickly. And that could help me go out there and play it fast. So when I got to training camp, like I said before, Matt, not believing I was good enough as a kid was a gift and a curse, because it created this extreme work ethic. And like I'm showing now, like I'm staying up to 4 a.m. studying, trying to get this thing right.
Because it's bothering you that you don't have it right. It's just killing you inside, because when you're a type A like that, you want to have control of it. You want to know it.
Exactly. And then like God did make me this superior athlete. So when I got out there, and my whole life I've been competing, I've been going against dogs. So when I got out there, I was just that rookie training camp. I was just out there trying to embarrass everyone every chance I got. Like I knew I was gonna compete. Like I got this vivid memory in my head of just one play. Like we were scrimmaging Atlanta, and they talk about the scrimmage, how I get how it's rah-rah. It's a lot of testosterone guys fighting, all that. And I'm going in there like, it don't matter who go up against me, I'm gonna kill them. Like this is what I'm telling myself in my head, like they're gonna get murdered, they go up against me. And I know it sounds extreme, but this is what I'm telling myself.
That's your mindset.
Yeah. I remember this one special team rep. I was a vice gunner, and dude must have he was the gunner. I must have hemmed them up and slammed them. And like I'm like, bro, they can't mess with me, dog. Like I belong here. And then the next, we went to 11 on 11, and I was out there with the ones. I got the rep with the ones a couple times, and I had a pass breakup, and I'm like, oh yeah, I belong here with the Giants. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Because when you get to that point, you just trying to get something. You got these questions in your head to like answer. And for me, it was like, do I belong here with the Giants? Do I belong here with the big dogs? And like, then those questions start getting answered. Yeah, like I belong here. Like I belong here.
Well, you went from just saying months earlier you were considering not playing football,
Yeah.
right? And I think that is the toughest thing. I always tell every kid, and I know I would have told you this before you went to college, at some point in your freshman year, you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and think, what in the did I get myself into?
First day of camp.
I mean, it is mind numbing because you are like in such deep water and no one's there to help you. The guy that recruited you, he's over doing his job. He ain't there to hold your hand. And you get so like wrapped up, and the guys that succeed are the guys that can weather the storm and fight through it. And I think the NFL is only even more extreme than that, because now they're cutting and it's really impersonal, right? Like they don't have to keep you on the team for that year like a scholarship. They can just cut you and waive you. So you go through, you have a great, campaign, you make the team. I mean, that's huge, right? How does it go? How's the season go?
You think everything gonna be peaches and cream after that, but you understand that like it just get harder and you got to figure it out. So my first game, I get in for like a couple plays against Lamar Jackson, and I'm starstruck, dog. Like I'm starstruck. I'm playing deep in the post. I'm like, oh, this Lamar Jackson. Like I was watching him a couple months ago, and then my second game, it was like, all right, we gonna play you. Like you gonna be the dime this week, and they telling me all week, like, you feel me? Your matchup gonna be Njoku, and I'm like, all right, I lock him up. Like you feel what I'm saying? Like he a tight end. I've been going receivers all my life. Like I'm gonna get at him. My first play out there, dog. They saw the matchup. They put Amari Cooper on me. Like my first NFL like real play, man to man with Amari Cooper, and he killed me, dog. Like
he's fast, right?
He's like he's so deceptive. Like, and he understand leverage. He understand like playing with speed, changing his speed, like, and his routes are incredible. That's where he made his money at, his route running. And he murdered me. Like he called like a 13-yard corner route. I tackled him. I got him out. But they was like, they benched me after that. And the crazy thing about it is that undrafted free agent. So like I didn't play on defense again to week 10, I want to say, against Buffalo. Like think about it. Week 2, I'm in. I don't play on defense again to week 10. And they basically...
And you gave up one pass.
I gave up one pass. Because you're an undrafted free agent and you don't have that leash. And it's people say it's not fair, but it is what it is. It's the nature of the beast. You feel what I'm saying? And so I'm sitting and they making me go through, like, I'm not on a practice squad. I'm still on an active roster, because if they would have put me on a practice squad, another team could
pull you off.
So I'm still on the team. I'm just not on the active roster. So I'm going up against the Garrett Wilsons every day, the Tyler Conklins. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm competing. I'm getting back in that mode because I'm competing again. Like, you know what I mean? Like
the old days.
Like the old days. I'm starting to compete with these guys, and I'm starting to believe in myself more, because that killed my confidence. And then I started to understand like how valuable those reps are as an undrafted free agent, as a guy who's not supposed to be in this position. You got to make every rep count. And it made me, I never take for granted it again. Like, you know what I'm saying? It made me like appreciate every rep. And so when I got my opportunity again, I never looked back. Like I never looked back. I still been running.
You're not looking back now.
Never ever again. But I thank God for it, because if I never went through that, if I was a first round draft pick, would I still have this mindset in my head? Like, you know what I mean?
No.
Would I say, I feel like I made it, feel like I arrived? Like, you feel what I'm saying? So I just thank God for the hard times, because the hard times made me who I am today. And I'll never forget them, ever.
And you're still living it every day. So it goes back to JP. You mean we talked about at the beginning of the show, you got your first offer and now you've made it. And we're talking to a guy who had numerous offers, started at a major Division I, Big Ten school, Power 5 in the NFL. And we're still having this conversation, internal battle and work.
It really is the fastest hour of football.
Yeah.
So anything you want to close with, anything?
So real quick. 2 things. Season ends.
Mm-hmm.
What does your coach say? What do you leave the season with coming back into this past season? Like, what do they tell you? What like it's an exit meeting, like you're still an undrafted guy. Like you finished the season strong, right? And you're on the field and you're getting some clock, so they trust you now more.
Yeah.
What do they say to you? What do you like? How does that work?
I can't really I ain't really have an exit meeting. Like, my coach told me great rookie year, because like this last season was really like my rookie year. Like this was my first year playing in the league. He told me great rookie season, but in my head, like, you never get comfortable ever, because I made a couple plays my rookie year and I thought like this NFL stuff easy, but then you come back. I got Chuck Clark starting in front of me, so and I'm still that undrafted free agent. I still got to beat out everybody. So they told me great rookie season, but at the end of the day, you say thank you and you keep it pushing, because at the end of the day, like my coach said, when you got it, it's the day you need to retire. So you never get it. And I never get comfortable, because I know the NFL, it never gets easier. Each year presents its own challenges. So like, I'm just making sure I'm hard enough, that I'm ready enough for whatever challenge that the NFL throws at me this year.
Well, you had Aaron Rodgers last year in camp, first year. He's got some great Aaron Rodgers stories. Did you pick him off in practice, or what'd you do?
Yeah, I got him twice. I actually got him twice in camp. It was pretty dope. It was a pretty dope moment. But that goes back to competing. Like, I knew A-Rod was the big dog, and like I went out there and it's like, excuse me for what I'm about to say. Like, I don't give a damn. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't give a damn. I want to show the world that I'm a dog too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And like, I'm going back this year. Like, say if I do go to camp and I do pick A-Rod them off again, I don't want to be known as the guy who picked A-Rod off. No, I don't care about that anymore. Like, I want to be known as a great NFL safety, and fuck it, I'm putting it out there. I want to be the best safety in the game. Like, why not me? I'm not even supposed to be here at this point I am now. So like, why not go out and be the best safety in the game? And I know it's going to take hard work. I know it's going to take discipline and the separator of all, man, which is consistency, like you said before. But fuck it. Like, why not me? Like, I'm saying it now. I'm gonna be the best safety in the game. Like, that's what I'm working for.
Push your chips in, man.
That's awesome. It goes back fast. Anything you want to say in closing to anybody? And where can people follow you at?
Your foundation. Definitely. We went to mention that earlier.
Yes, I have a foundation where I just want to help inspire the youth and give back to my community, the St. Louis area, including the East Side, never forgetting the East Side, at Tony Adams Foundation. You can find me on Instagram. We would love a follow. Just follow my journey, giving back to the community. And you can follow me at Tony, at TA06_. Just follow my journey in the NFL, because I hope my journey could help you make your journey. You know what I mean? Hope I can inspire you to chase your dream and live out your dream, because it's possible. Like you see, I went through many dark times. I've had a lot of trials in my life. Sometimes, like, I don't feel like I deserve to be in this place, but God chose it for me for a reason. So, you know what I mean? I'm living out my dream, and just to help you guys live out your dream. So, yeah.
Great. So we're scrolling your foundation and where to reach it at, and we reach you at on the screen. It's going to be on, and people can find it at football360show.com. Great story. Need you back to have more.
Yeah, we got.
Appreciate you joining us, Tony.
I appreciate you guys.
Fastest hour football talk on the planet. Football 360 Show. Talk to you soon. Bye. Stay safe.